Politics as usual.
We're politicking up in here right now.
And with that, my friends, the star was born.
So let's talk some politics.
We're doing everything that you think we are doing inside of that house. They just went right back in the house and started playing the game again.
On Magic 102.3 and 92.7.
The real sound of the DMV.
On the line, we have political commentator, recently served as special assistant to the former president and chief of staff in the White House, Office of Public Engagement, Miss Erica Loewe. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How's everybody doing today?
Feeling good, feeling great, and just keeping an eye on things that are happening. So the U.S. has carried out airstrikes in Iran, escalating already high tensions that are in the region. Erica, can you help us break down exactly what happened, why it matters, and what we need to keep an eye on moving forward?
Absolutely. Now, y'all know I usually come on here with Eve's top three, but today my 1, 2, and 3 are Iran, Iran, and Iran. So this is what we know. Over the weekend, the United States launched what is called Operation Midnight Hammer, hitting 3 Iranian nuclear sites with long-range bombers and missile strikes. And the point of this was allegedly to disrupt Iran's nuclear capabilities, but things got heated real fast. So naturally, Iran retaliated by attacking a U.S. military base in Qatar, the same country that bought our president a plane the other day. And fortunately, there were no casualties, but it was a clear signal that Iran ain't no punk. Now, leaders in the United States, Iran, and Israel have all mentioned there being a ceasefire, but it seems like a lot of big talk and no real actions, because just this morning, Israel said Iran attacked them again, and Iran clapped back real quick saying Israel's a liar. So it's likely going to be a minute before we see any real ceasefire, but we're already seeing the damaging impact at home. Just the other day, Iran's parliament voted to move towards closing what's called the Strait of Hormuz, which is a key oil supply route. And if that happens, gas and shipping prices are going to go through the roof. And we've already seen gas prices rise and fall over the last couple days. And if it continues, groceries, transportation, even metro operations may feel the squeeze. And Homeland Security has already raised threat levels nationwide. So, of course, D.C. is under high alert and is now under increased surveillance. What I found interesting was that CNN took a poll and found that the majority of Americans strongly disapprove of the presidential administration's decision to launch airstrikes against Iran. Nobody wants World War III, y'all. Now, I could use this time to pull the receipts on how our current president used to troll a certain former black president about his inability to negotiate and accused him of wanting to start a war with Iran to get reelected and said he had no plan or experience, but that would be unproductive. I could also use this time to remind folks about how a certain former vice president, who's an AKA and went to Howard, tried to warn Americans about the likelihood of us getting into a war with Iran. And voters didn't listen, but that's not a productive use of this time. So let's focus on what matters and how this impacts our community. And the most obvious is price increases. We've seen this movie before. A crisis in the Middle East sends gas, grocery, utilities, and other bills much higher, and a war budget often takes money from domestic programs that we're already fighting for, like healthcare and education. There's also increased military deployment. Black folks make up nearly 20% of active duty service members, and that means more deployments, more stress, and less support at home. And not to mention the increased militarization of law enforcement and racial profiling. Y'all remember after 9/11, it was extra hard being black and Muslim. Folks walking around in hijabs and kufis are treated with increased suspicion in airports and schools, and Islamophobia is always worse when the so-called enemy on TV is speaking Arabic or Farsi. So we have to stay alert and call out policies or rhetoric that could lead to increased policing or surveillance of our community under the guise of national security. Because we know that when America catches a cold, black folks catch the flu. And don't get me started on millennials. I am a millennial, and I speak on behalf of all of us when I say we are tired. We have lived through 2 recessions, 9/11, a global pandemic, stock market crash after stock market crash, jobs being replaced by AI, and now we're talking about a possible World War III, and we haven't even turned 50 yet. So please keep millennials in prayer. And lastly, I want to encourage folks to pay attention to what's real and what's not, because disinformation is getting real crazy out here. And black people are key targets. So I would suggest following credible sources like our good sis, Dr. Nola Haynes, online. And don't be afraid to speak out. I've worked in government and seen firsthand that politicians don't move unless the people who pay them make them move. So whether you have 50 followers or 50,000 followers, your voice matters. Use it to demand transparency, support civil liberties orgs like ACLU and NAACP who push back against government overreach. And most importantly, as I say every time I come on here, do something to protect your peace.
Absolutely. Love it. Thank you so much, Erica Loewe. As always, we appreciate your time and your perspective. And of course, we'll be keeping an eye out on how this all unfolds and look forward to having you back on soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.